Hey, welcome back to the channel. Here we have a pretty cool one today. I'm going to be diving into a few different refills to see if I could find one that makes me happy when utilizing this Confounded machine ISO grip OEM green. I've been shuffling through a few of them, haven't found one that particularly stood out, so I made a spreadsheet to take a look at some of the criteria, whether or not a spacer is being used, the fit and finish, tip wiggle, both just holding on to it to see if it wiggles, plus actually wiggling during the writing. So we'll try and get a few samples and see where we settle if we can find one today. So if you're into that kind of thing, you'll probably enjoy this one. And let's get right into it. And just for quick clarification regarding the chart, the check mark means it passes and the X means it fails. So if there's an X with the tip wiggle, doesn't mean that it doesn't have it. It means that there is wiggle and it fails. All right, so I'm going to try and replicate this the same throughout each refill. We'll start with trying the refill with the spacer, then without, and test it and see how we go. All right, so first up is going to be the Monteverde P42. So we're going to give it a try, put the spacer on. Now I will say this spring that I have here is looking pretty beat up, a little wimpy, and certainly will need a new one sooner rather than later. So here we go. So this one, the spacer is going to be irrelevant. It's not really doing much of anything. So let's just give it a fit and see if the spacer is something we're gonna use, or if it even makes a difference. Which if it's to create a little more resistance for the spring, it's certainly not going to. All right, tip wiggle, very minimal. I would say to the hand that would be none, no tip wiggle. Now the downside is I'm not really a fan of the P42. I prefer more of a finer line, and then that's exactly where we started running into trouble. So this had the spacer, no tip wiggle, good finish. Yeah, that is a good fit. There is no wiggle. All right, moving on. And here's a little voiceover because in typical fashion, I made a spelling error. And when I went to re-record, I never hit record on the microphone. So here we go. All right, moving along to the P41. This is a fine point or extra fine point or needle point. First, we'll try with the spacer. See if there's any play. And also, all right, so the spacer meets right up with the spring. So in this instance, we will get a little bit more assistance in creating a little more tension. All right, give it a shot in here. All right, back together. Take a look at the action. It's got great action. Let's take a look at the fit. The fit is, need that to focus. The fit is not great. Okay, we have the tip protruding. And that is locked in a locked position. I am not loving that. I'm not loving that aesthetically at all. Tip wiggle. Considerable and audible. Let me see how it is on the writing. Not really noticeable on the writing, but aesthetically that just looks terrible. I'm not a fan of how that's protruding out. So that's going to be a deal killer for me on the P41. All right, moving along to the OHTO Flash Dry, and this is a 0.05 as well. Spacer. Let's see how this works. Spacer does meet the spring. All right. Action. Good action. Fit. Again, we have a little bit of the tip protruding. It does stick out just a touch. Aesthetically, I don't love it because you can see it. I would like just the tip to be out.
That's what she said. Michael.
This is the OHTO Flash Dry. Yeah. Tip wiggle. Minimal, but it's there. Did not feel it when writing, but it's certainly an audible click and moving around. All right, moving along to the KACO, another 0.5. Now this one I did originally have in the pen prior to taking it apart to start this video, so I know that the spacer is not going to work with this one, but for sake of the video, we'll go through the steps just so everything remains standardized. So, and maybe I'll surprise myself, which would be nice. Maybe I'll find that in my earlier setup I was doing something wrong, being that I was rushing around or whatnot. So, all right. Back together. Action. Action gets stopped. Cannot get it to cycle through. Down, but no across. So that's going to be a no-go on the spacer. We'll go just spring. Action, good. Fit, pretty good. I would say that's pretty good. Tip wiggle, pretty significant. It's audible. This is the KACO. .5 does have one of the best lines out of all. I do enjoy the line that it produces, but you don't feel the wiggle when writing. So I mean, I guess that's probably going to be the best bet, is that the fit is good, the line is good, and it only tip wiggles by hand. So far, I think this is going to remain the winner. This was like I said, this was the refill that was in the pen before I started this. So, all right, one more to go. All right, rounding out the last one in my little test here, we have an EasyFlow 9000. We will go same procedure, which is the spacer, which there is a little bit of play doesn't match up perfectly, so I think the spacer will be useless. We'll see if it affects the actuation of the bolt path as it did with the KACO. Does not. Clean. The fit is even more appealing than the KACO. Zero tip wiggle. EasyFlow. And this is why I don't like the EasyFlow. Already getting a build up on the tip. EasyFlow 9000. Well, I don't know if I'm really happy with any of them, so I don't know what the answer is. The KACO did seem to provide the best line. I am a fan of that refill, as I do run it in other pens. The fit is not the greatest, but it is probably the one I'm going to go with. All right. I will throw this completed chart up, and this one would definitely benefit from some feedback and other refills to try, or maybe suggestions. I definitely want to get that newer spring because I think that may help. I do have a very wimpy looking spring. In any event, I appreciate your feedback. Thanks for checking it out. And if you have one, I hope your experience is a little more beneficial than mine.